Welcome to the Mayor's Forum. I'm Deputy Mayor Paul Hodson. My guest on the Mayor's Forum today is Don Stauffer, the fire official for Egg Harbor Township. Don is here today to talk about the fire inspections and preventative maintenance to avoid fires. Welcome, Don, to the Mayor's Forum. Can you tell the audience what you do as a fire official?
We enforce the Uniform Fire Code of the state of New Jersey. It's done locally here by us. I have a part-time inspector, and Judy, my secretary.
What do you do typically on a fire inspection?
First of all, we check that all life safety systems have been inspected annually or semi-annually, whatever is required on the type of system. And we check all exit signs, emergency lights, exit doors, aisles, storage. If it's too high, you know, there's a distance requirement from sprinklers in your warehouses and everything.
Okay. Don, I know you went out to take some video recently of an inspection with the high school students from the video department here. Let's take a look at that footage and describe what was on the tape for the audience, and that we can give them an idea of what you do and you're looking for during an inspection.
Okay. We went to Walmart, as you can see. Usually with a facility this big, we try and make an appointment rather than just show up, and you have a contact person. I got the director of facilities there, and he goes around because he's the one that's in charge of fixing any violations we may find or problems. Here we're headed over to the kitchen area. We have to abide by any safety or health regulations in our inspections.
So you're in a food area.
So we're in a food area, so we had to net up. I had a little trouble finding one that fit. But of course, part of it is checking the fire extinguishers, that they're up to date. They're required annually. And that's a special extinguisher that's there for the cooking area.
So it'd be a dry chemical?
No, that's a wet chemical fire extinguisher. Hoods are required to be cleaned. I'm checking the date there on the sticker. The other thing is we kind of go by, depending how they cook, some restaurants or whatever may produce more grease than a normal cycle of cleaning. We can actually require them to get them cleaned ahead of schedule. At the pool station, when they do the hood inspection, the fire protection people, they change the fusible links up inside the hood. They have to be changed semi-annual. And I check them for the dates on them. That way you know that they've been changed.
So you got to retag that. You just pulled it off?
No, I just took the fusible links.
Okay.
Threw them away. That's a CO detector that's new this year. Carbon monoxide alarms are required in all commercial buildings. There's just a quick, they got me testing an emergency light. That's an exit sign. They all work on battery backup. Here we're going through the warehouse area. Like I said, we check for storage height. It has to be down away from the sprinklers for them to operate properly to suppress a fire. This is a rolling or sliding smoke door is what that was. They were checking an exit.
I guess with Walmart being open recently, that's state-of-the-art stuff.
Yes, they did anything that was required. In fact, a few things they went over and above. They didn't give anybody any problems with anything. They did anything we asked. There we were discussing, I found some propane cylinders out back along the wall that weren't protected. So we're discussing where to put them. And there's a set of ballards down there further there. You see the ballards. I suggested they put them down behind the ballards so they don't get hit by vehicles. And that was done before we left the site. I mean, he did a lot of things. Here's the pump room, the main pump room.
That's their water flow on their fire suppression?
That feeds the fire suppression in the building. This is a pretty extensive system in here. It's a 1,250 gallon minute pump. That's big. That's all the different systems and the valves, the operating valves for the different areas of the building. checking the gauges, the controls.
I don't think the average public knows what kind of extensive system that a facility like this has to put
Most
in.
likely not. No, they, you know,
It's right.
you have a very high-tech fire alarm system in there, and so we ran there and checked that. Another thing Walmart has, when you come in the front door, there's actually a command post area there at the front door for fire command, and the public address system is overridden by the, there's a microphone there. And
PA.
fire command can use it as a PA
Right.
and talk to everyone in the building from
Yeah,
that point.
because technically it could be a fire while it's occupied with
Right.
shoppers, and you want to clear the building for safety.
Walmart's procedure is if that fire alarm goes off, which it has already, of course, new buildings, you know, that's common until they get the kinks out. But they totally clear that building out right away. Everything that we look at is tested by someone, and in the state of New Jersey, they're permitted to do whatever in fire protection work they may do. They're licensed to do fire suppression work, which is sprinklers. We call it fire suppression. The hood systems, the fire extinguishers, the fire alarms. Some businesses carry all those certifications, and some only do one or the other or two, you know. So they put labels on everything, and that's what we check to see that this fire protection equipment that's been built into the building when it's constructed under the UCC, under the Uniform Construction Code, is maintained and operable throughout its life.
Was that mandated by state laws for Walmart to do that, or was that additional on Walmart protecting the property?
That was something that Walmart does.
Okay.
Like
'cause
I
it's a
said,
pretty
they go over and
sophisticated
above
system.
a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
There's,
right.
you know, they don't wait around.
That was a nice video and very interesting, Don. So if you find anything during your inspection, what do? I guess you make spot corrections?
We write up a violation list, my inspector or I out in the field, and we take it back to the office, and our secretary, Judy, types it all out with the proper paperwork that has to be sent to them, and then they're given initially 30 days to abate the violations. Then we go back and do a re-inspection, and then they get their certification for the year.
Well, like with the propane tanks, that was spot. You had to make the correction right away.
We just make note that we found something,
Okay.
but we actually write down then it was abated on site.
Okay.
Like a couple of things we found while we were walking around, he had them taken care of before we even left the building.
Yeah, that's good cooperation.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the difference between a residential and a commercial fire inspection, if any?
Well, quite a bit, because residential is, for us, is strictly the smoke and CO alarms,
Right.
and a fire extinguisher in a residential home.
Right.
Where, of course, like you can see there, the commercial, you get into all the different fire systems, fire alarms.
That was a pretty impressive water flow system. I mean, when you
It
think
is.
about it.
That's
You
a-
said
yes.
1,200 gallon
Yeah, that's
pump.
a big.
That's a lot of
big.
water.
Yeah.
For the reasons for the inspection to help prevent fires and the regulations, what do you inspect?
Everything.
Yeah.
You
Inspect,
every place of business gets an inspection.
right?
All right. Homes get inspected when there's a change of tenant, if they're rented or leased, or if they're sold. All residential homes get an inspection, but
Right.
every commercial business in the township gets inspected. There's over 900 of them.
And I think that helps prevent a serious fire. I think it's
Well, we
good
hope.
stuff.
Unfortunately, we don't document fires that we prevented.
No.
We can only document the fires we have, but I feel that we've done a good job here in the township over the past years
I have
with
to
preventing
agree.
some fires.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the old days, nobody would do anything along these lines. Maybe a fire extinguisher, but it wouldn't be the CO or the smoke detectors or anything like.
Right. Back in the
they're
late 80s,
invaluable.
when the Uniform Fire Code started, we went into buildings. We had a retro clause in the fire
Right.
code to get started. And back in the late 80s, when we started it, we went in places that didn't even have exit signs or emergency lights or
Right,
anything.
right.
So we got buildings retrofitted with all that when
Or
we
the
first
exits
started.
blocked by stuff that
Yeah,
people didn't think they did.
Because
the
no
exit.
one was there to check it.
When the fire inspection is completed, how does the township make sure that the property owners stay compliant?
Well, that's the problem. Once we walk out of a building, our inspection's done and we're not back for a year.
Right.
The only other thing is we have a lot of eyes in the sky, you may say. There's a lot of firefighters in the township. If they see things, of course, they notify our office, and we go out on any complaints that come in.
Suppressions, electrical checks, flammables, and fire exits seem to be a key area of inspections. Can you explain why?
Well, exit's pretty explanatory.
Yeah.
We want people to get out of the building. We're not really concerned about them getting in. And my job is to make sure that everyone can get out safely. There is a clause in there. We do have provisions to, if we see something unsafe in a building for a firefighter coming in,
right,
we can have that violation abated also. We can take care of that problem. Of course, flammables should be stored properly. You know, we keep an eye on all that. And suppression systems, that's just what they're called. They're designed to suppress the fire, hold it down, till the firemen get there and extinguish the fire the rest of the way.
Very good. Don, you're really informative. Let's take a short break for the community events, and then we'll come back and we will talk more about Don Stauffer, about fire inspections and how to prevent fires in our township. Welcome back to the Mayor's Forum. My guest is Don Stauffer, the Township Fire Official for Egg Harbor Township. Don, preventive maintenance is essential to avoid fires. What type preventive maintenance should the business or residents be aware of?
Well, as we saw earlier in the Walmart inspections, one of the big ways to prevent things is to have your equipment inspected and maintained, and maintenance if required. And that's one of the things we do. We check to see that that is all taken care of.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they make sure that the smoke detectors are clear, not loaded with dust.
In your home, you should be checking your smoke alarms at least once a month.
Right.
I suggest changing the batteries twice a year, but they say once a year. Pick a date. Now we have the 10-year lithium-powered smoke and CO alarms.
Right.
So you really don't have that problem of changing the batteries all the time.
And it's something I noticed too with having a lot of fire extinguishers is that the fire extinguishers themselves never be used, but they'll lose some pressure. You'll see them go out of green.
Yes,
And
that's a good point. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't look at that. That's why that gauge is on there.
Right.
It lets you know the pressure's still in the extinguisher. If it falls out of the green, then it should be taken to some place to get maintenance
Or replaced.
Right,
Right, right. In the winter months, heating can cause fires. I think, I harp this once in a while. What type preventive precautions can you take to avoid a fire related to your heater? I would think
First of all, keep all the combustibles away from it.
and I guess vents to,
It's
change the
just-
filters.
Yeah, and utility rooms that have a hot water heater and a heater in it. A lot of times we'll go in there and storage has been pushed in boxes, have been all piled in there and stored around it. Everything should be clear from that so it can stay cool and operate properly.
Right, airflow.
Yeah, airflow, yeah.
Yeah, heaters are a big thing. They're not used all for 9 months. Then we fire them up with the first cold spell.
That's
And
something else that should be maintained. Like you said, the filter, right? Because a clogged filter will put a strain on the fan motor and everything, and that's
Right.
what normally goes on them
Right.
when we have calls for smoke in a house. But they should be looked at and maintained, and make sure that the flues are clear.
It doesn't hurt to vacuum them out too. Get in there and look at
Yeah.
everything that's loaded with dust. Cooking can also start fires. Can you tell us how we can avoid starting fires while cooking? Pay attention. Pay attention.
Stay at the stove.
Pay
Most of the kitchen fires are started by unattended cooking that we have here in the township.
Right.
And you hear the same thing. I just went back the hallway for a second, and that's all it took for the oil to overheat and take off, and then it starts, kitchen cabinet's on fire, and it goes from there.
Yeah, sometimes the second turns into minutes. They get
Yep.
on the phone, and then they come back in the kitchen's.
Stay with whatever you're cooking. Have a lid. If you're cooking with a pan with oil or whatever, always have a lid there. So if it does catch on fire, all you have to do is, of course, turn the heat off to it quick, and just lay the lid on the pan, and it'll go out.
Yeah, cut the oxygen.
Right.
Escape plans are important for businesses and homes. What should you show an escape plan and make sure everyone knows to get out in case of a fire? I hear the dispatchers, when they tone out, tell them, have you evacuated the building?
Right.
And that's crucial, because some
Right.
people want to stay, want to try to fight the fire.
Right.
Whatever.
The best thing is just get out, because let's face it, the building's replaceable.
Right.
People aren't. So, yes, most commercial establishments you go in these days will have an evacuation plan posted in a lot of the rooms. It'll show you where you're at and where the exits are, and they always show 2 ways to get out. It's one thing you always want to know, 2 ways to get out. The same with your house. We teach it next week. We'll be in the schools. It's Fire Prevention Week.
That's right, October.
And we drill into the kids about having 2 ways out. Always know 2 ways out of your home.
And I guess, too, try to be calm. Get
Oh,
out
yeah,
calmly. Don't run. Don't push people in
Right.
front of you. Get out calmly. The holiday season is a great time for lights and decorations, and, of course, our Christmas tree. How can you plan to use these things successfully without causing a fire? And I think in the old days of a Christmas tree, dried out and so forth with
Keep
lights
them,
and
if
heat.
you have a live tree, yes, you want to keep the water in it. The artificial trees, some of them already come pre-lit now, and they're LED. The LEDs don't get real hot, all right, so they're a lot safer. I do have a set of lights here. I'll point out to everyone that everything carries some type of an approval. This is a UL. Which way you want me to look? There's a UL label on this set of string lights.
And they're LED, are they LEDs? No.
No, these are not LED.
Right.
All right. Most people don't read them. They come with all types of warning labels on them, which should be read and adhered to. Now, this string of lights is listed and approved for use indoors and outdoor. Now, you had to check, because some lights are not listed for indoor use because they get too hot.
Right.
That's why you use them only outdoors. All right, and of course you don't want to use an indoor light set outside, because they're not designed or listed to be used in a wet or damp locations.
Right.
So everything carries some type of an approval label on it for what it's intended to be used for.
I think if someone in the township has questions, Don, where can you get information on fire inspections or prevention? What should they go? Where should they go?
Well, of course, the main contact would be our office at Town Hall, 926-609. I forgot, we have to do 609 now.
Well, that's a real thing.
609-926-4070. My secretary will be on the phone there. She's very knowledgeable. And if she can't answer something, she'll take their name and number, and we'll call them back when we come in off the road.
Okay, good. I want to thank you, Don. It was very informative. I always speak about this around holiday times as being a volunteer, and you're a volunteer in Scullville. Don, while we're here today, I think it's important that we talk about our fire departments, how many we have in the township, and how they're covered, and your way of interfacing with them in your position as fire inspector in the township.
Well, that's a good question, because I think there's a lot of people in the township that don't realize, first of all, that it is all volunteer.
Right.
Right. There's 5 companies in the township. You have Cardiff. Cardiff is they're numbered in the order in which they were founded. So
Yeah.
we call
And that's interesting
Cardiff's
in
number
itself,
1,
right.
and of course the station is on. They have 2 stations, one on the Black Horse Pike, and the other one right up here on English Creek Avenue. Morgantown's Company 2. Their main station's on Mill Road, and they have one over next to Town Hall on Tony Mink Pagano. And then Scullville's Company number 3, and their main station's down on 1708 Mays Landing, Summers Point Road, and the second station is up at 1407 Summers Point, Mays Lane Road. Farmington's Company 4, they're over on Maple Avenue, and West Atlantic City's Company 5, and their stations right there on the Black Horse Pike as you go out of Pleasantville into Egg Harbor Township.
Right. It's interesting that you touched on it, that the fire departments, their number is related to when they were founded many years ago. And it's quite interesting that, you know, the old days, the fire department was pretty primitive. I mean, can you talk about how, you know, certainly you help them with their inspections on their equipment or any modifications that come out through the state on equipment and certification. Can you just explain, you know, how you interact with the fire departments through the total departments or one-on-one? I know you're a member of Scalville.
The fire department has, the township has a township fire chief and deputy fire chief.
Right.
Of course, the fire chief is Rob Winkler, and Gene Sharp's the deputy chief.
Right.
All equipment and everything, and any notices is sent down from the state, goes through our office as to any changes in requirements or whatever, and we know what the requirements are. And Judy takes care of, for the chief, she's also the chief's secretary in there in the office, because he's not, you know, he's volunteer.
Right.
So she takes care of setting up all testing that's required, all of our air packs, hose, pumps.
All has
to be tested annually. Our rescue equipment is checked and maintenance and tested annually, and then of course any new equipment that's bought goes through. Judy takes care of ordering all that stuff through the, you know, for the township fire department.
I know you just did the recertification. I saw the company testing hose at Cardiff Station 2.
Yes.
Just recently.
Yes.
And that's mandated by the state.
Yes. And then along with that, they test the ground ladders.
Right.
All right. That they all have to be tested annually.
Right.
And then we do fire pump tests on the trucks to make sure that the pumps are staying up to their rated capacities.
Right.
And that's all required also for the township's ISO rating.
Right.
Which helps the people in their homeowners insurance.
Can you just talk about the ISO rating? I mean, I think everybody who has a home, wherever they may live, the fire insurance asks about fire sources. Is there a hydrant in front of your house?
Yes, that's all part of the, when they come in and rate a community, right, there's many things that are taken into consideration, not just the fire equipment and the firefighter side. They also, yes, like hydrants, communications,
right?
All right, or they go up and inspect and see how communications works up there. It's all taken into effect. Another thing is distance from firehouses. That was another thing that prompted 3 of the companies to build second firehouse.
Right.
All right, that puts equipment closer to the people's homes. That all those little things count when it comes to getting your ISO rating. And then that rating is used by the insurance companies for your homeowners premiums.
Right.
So the better your better your ISO number, the better your premiums.
Yeah, I always knew the hydrants. We have more hydrants in the township today than we ever did. The old days we were relying on tankers and other sources. I want to thank you, Don. I think that's good information for the public to understand a little bit more about our fire departments in the township, the 5 of them. And I really want to thank you for the work you do, along with all our members, in protecting this township in case of an emergency or a fire-related
We got a good bunch of guys here.
I agree. I want to thank you for being here. It's a great information and inspections, and a little preventative knowledge goes a long way in the township. I hope our residents are not already aware of inspections, but they are now. And if we can contact Don with any questions, feel free, like you said, at the township number, or go to our website. Our website's good. Scan the website and see if the information on the website is what you need. Okay. If the viewers have topics of discussion or a person they would like us to interview at the Mayor's Forum, please contact Town Hall at 609-926-4044. Thank you for joining us today.